So let me I'm going to introduce this real quick. I put out a thing talking about Jacob Geller's Spec Ops: The Line and thing in white phosphorus because people have been talking about it fucking forever. And I got a bunch of stuff wrong, mostly because I have a complete misconception about handheld smoke grenades. And that's what we're going to be going into first, but you got a few things to talk about. So yeah, hit it.
Hey man, thanks. Yeah, I'm Bruce. I'm an Afghan vet. I was in the Kandahar area, 2008, 2009, if anyone was around there. I'm a gamer and I'm a former journalist like yourself. I've really enjoyed your channel. I actually bought your book.
Oh, cool.
One of my friends is into horror, and so I bought it for him for a present, and I've enjoyed your channel very much. So I appreciate you asking me what I thought about this. I wrote an essay because I wanted to test out Blue Sky. I used to write long essays on it a while ago, and so I wrote a bit of an essay on one of your videos. I hope it didn't come across as too negative or anything. If it was, I was just trying to be edgy. What I wanted to say was, I thought your take on the actual game, Spec Ops, was spot on. It's exactly how I would have said it. It's Joseph Conrad for the 21st century. It's a good game. Absolutely nothing to object to there. And I think, your take on the international law aspects was, 90% good. It was good stuff. I was just nitpicking because I've handled a few smoke grenades in my time, and you kind of alighted over some differences between white phosphorus and other kinds of chemical smoke, and I guess I just wanted to take the piss. So
no, it's fine. So this is fucking broken my brain because like I don't know why I was saying it because then I started looking up the grenades. When I was looking up everything and I was doing my little bit of research, I didn't look at the fucking canisters like a dope. And so I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a white phosphorus grenade and it was smoke clear. And then I actually fucking looked it up past just confirming that there's a white phosphorus hand grenade. And it's from the fucking 1960s and looks nothing like the fucking can smokes that we had. So I was completely fucking wrong about those. Completely off. I have no idea what the hell is in my head where I was just like, I know we called smoke Woolly Pete. Like it was like a Woolly Pete, white phosphorus smoke again and again and again and again. I have no idea where that came from. And then you pointed it out. Yeah. I don't know which ones I would have been using then. 05, I was in 06 to 07 or 06 to 07, 07, 08, and then 09. Last one, I didn't really use smoke grenades or anything at all, but please explain smoke grenades that are from our era, I guess. I was never in Afghanistan, but I was in Iraq. You were Army?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really worked with the Marines. So hey, it's real simple, and I think the thing that your audience needs to know to interpret news is really about signature, because the thing is, a white phosphorus explosion, whether it's artillery or a grenade, looks really distinct. It's that starburst. You can see lots of pictures, on Google Images of the starburst of like those little bits of phosphorus just blooming out, right? And it looks very different from any other kind of chemical smoke. And that's important because just dropping chemical smoke on someone isn't going to hurt him and is never going to be considered any kind of like war crime. But if you drop white phosphorus at someone for international military law of war stuff, it's basically the same as dropping high explosive on them, which you said, by the way. Mm-hmm. And you gotta factor that in, and you see a lot of videos of airburst white phosphorus out of Gaza these days, out of Ukraine, and it's possible that some countries are using it irresponsibly. Israel's been accused of it before in 2008. It wouldn't be a big surprise if they were doing it again. Mm-hmm. But you are absolutely right. It's a legitimate kind of, it's a legitimate shell. It's not a chemical weapon. It does cause casualties. It is used for marking, but it's been used in times, there's lots of Medal of Honor citations, as I said in my essay, for soldiers using white phosphorus. And that's not because they were bad dudes. It's because it was the best tool for the job.
But those Medal of Honor citations are 50 places like World War II and before. Really, a lot of them I think I saw from World War II and World War I. It was a lot of pillbox pushing, right?
Yeah, and there was a 2LT Marine actually from Philippines, 1945. I cited, and he dropped one into a Japanese tank to
Based.
kill everyone inside, which doesn't surprise me at all. That going
Mhm.
off in a tight space probably would kill everyone inside. So you can do it, but the thing that so the smokes that you and I would have carried and thrown in training and had thrown at us at training, the thing to understand is they're very similar to what people will see. A lot of your viewers will see in the form of tear gas grenades. They're base eject smoke grenades, right? They have a chemical reaction that goes on inside them, and just like CS gas or thermite for that matter, it spews out the bottom, but
Mhm.
and the grade basically stays intact. At the end, it's just an empty shell. It's really hot to pick up. Don't pick those things up if you see a tear gas or a
Yeah.
regular smoke grenade thrown at you.
I think I've
But
said that in the thing. If you actually watch where they go off, you have to watch where you throw them. If they're on concrete, you'll see a scorch mark right out the back end if it doesn't like roll around a bunch.
yeah, and definitely don't pick them up at a protest or whatever.
Hmm.
But white phosphorus, it goes off like a firework it when it explodes, it disintegrates, because the whole point of white phosphorus is it has to mix, it has to touch air.
Hmm.
So it breaks up into those hundreds of those little satchels of white phosphorus, all of which immediately ignite. And that's where you get that kind of skittering sort of death bloom in the sky thing. It's unique for white phosphorus shelling that you see in a lot of the footage like Gaza and Ukraine these days.
Hmm.
So so yeah, it looks really different. You can always tell a white phosphorus smoke explosion, and that's the advantage of it. It's instantaneous, right? It starts smoking immediately. There's no buildup. It doesn't take time to propagate, and also, if you drop it on someone, I'm sure it's scary as fuck, because pardon my language, because that stuff does burn, and it's really dangerous to be anywhere near it. So you don't drop it anywhere near friendly troops.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know if I had to guess, because I know I just associate white phosphorus, the words Woolly Pete, with that smoke. I wonder if it's a leftover, like like a warning. You know what I mean? Like to think of it, because the same precautions for burning I always associated with that stuff, and it's the same with. And I'll get to some other things too that aren't smoke necessarily. That I have to be. It has to not be what it was. I wonder if it's like in my mind just a leftover thing for people like, yeah, that's Woolly Pete smoke. We just kept calling it the same thing even though it wasn't, just to like, hey, don't think it's safe to just like drop the can right on somebody. Back in the day it would have fucking been a full on, hot pants, but even now, you could smoke somebody's ankle up and gas them out with that stuff. I think you were saying I can't remember what the criticism was, but you're like, I bathed in the smoke. I actually did get gassed out by whatever the hell cans we had. One of our corporals at the time, we were doing a training exercise in Iraq at a specific place, and it was in a small area. And we were using the smoke as fake grenades and stuff, whatever, and also to mark certain areas as clear, and we used the wrong kind or something like that. I don't know, but basically it didn't clear out, and so I got stuck covering a space. I wasn't as deep in the cloud as he was. He went down, like he had to get dragged out by the corpsman, and it was actually a serious thing because he was in in obscured area. It was like red and white smoke mixed together, and I think we got. I think I no, well, not we didn't get chewed out, but I think one of our NCOs got chewed out for having too many smokes go off in an enclosed space. So if I end up getting sick from the other shit, then that's what happened. Along with actually just running through it in a normal, like, hey, we're going to fucking practice city in 29 Palms. I'm going to run around through fake alleyways with smoke popped like we're doing anti-sniper stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in those urban operations training, you're going to get smoked and thunder flashed. It's just a thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You made a really good comparison when you compared it to like inhaling too much campfire smoke. It's To me, that's what a lot of it is like. And you're right, like the chemical smoke. And when you mention colors, it's just regular chemical smoke, because white phosphorus is always white. But I mean, anytime it's like marking smoke for like helicopter landing zones or stuff like pop purple, whatever, that's regular chemical smoke.
Mm-hmm.
In my day, because I think you guys probably switched to the safer alternative sooner than we did, but it was hexachloroethane, HC, and all the grenades said HC on the side, and now it's TA, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But with HC is supposed to be carcinogenic, so yeah, you don't want to be breathing that stuff in.
We'll find out.
But apparently the new stuff, the TA stuff, is like really safe, even like from an occupational health hazard perspective. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, because you're right, you breathe a lot of it.
One more thing. This is one of the best misconceptions that I had. Okay, so this has to just be bad intel I got. That I, for some reason associated all colors with green phosphorus and red phosphorus. Red phosphorus is on the back of tracer rounds. That's the glowy, right? But it has to be set off by an explosion. Sorry.
So the colors of phosphorus aren't really colors. They're just sort of different chemical compounds with phosphorus in them.
Mm-hmm.
So red phosphorus is a thing. It's very much a chemical smoke because unlike white phosphorus, it doesn't set fire when it touches the air. So like Ukraine uses red phosphorus as like a regular smoke grenade, just a base eject grenade like HC or TA, and it can be used for that because I think it has to be at like 300 degrees or something and in contact with air before it ignites. So it takes a while to get going. It's like regular smoke, not white phosphorus. You were talking about red smoke in Iraq. That was probably red chemical smoke, probably HC or TA.
Gotcha. And one other thing that I want to get to
green phosphorus is actually what makes night vision goggles green.
Yes,
it's a completely different compound. It's not really connected with explosives or smoke on the battlefield at all. You were talking about Warsaw Pact tracer rounds. I remember those too. From our AK-47 Famil shoots.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually barium salts. They're using barium salts to make that distinct green that, as opposed to like NATO tends to have like red tracer and Warsaw Pact green. That was just barium salts.
Cool. Yeah, they would have never told me these words are not spoken in the Marine Bible. No chemistry degree. It was just me, dumbass, fucking figuring this stuff out. The thing
it's all good, man.
In my mind, and this is you'll probably know this. It took me 2 fucking hours to even find these because I don't even know how to look for them. I should have kept it up, but it's like the M127 hand flare. Do you know what I'm talking? Tube flares, steel tube flares.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Those are called if you don't know what I'm talking about out there in the real world, these are metal tubes. They're this wide. They look like a big cigar case for an ugly fucking cigar. It's like this thick. You take the cap off, put it on the other end, hit it. They do a bunch of different things. There's a few types, but basically they boil down to star, big like a firework, and parachute floats down to the ground. I swear to God, they told us that shit was made out of phosphorus, but it's just called star compound. And when I looked it up, it just says Illum compound, which I guess makes it's probably made out of the same shit as fireworks. I think maybe they just told us that because they're like, if that hits you, like it's going to be a big deal to make us be more safe about it. Like we just got lied to, like children that won't go to bed. Like it's the boogeyman. I have no idea. Well, but I took this as the fucking word of God in my head. And like you're told me all this shit. I'm like, dude, I know nothing. I'm fucking completely brain dead about this. All this fucking military chemistry.
There was stuff that NCOs told me that was totally wrong, and it took me years to figure out they were wrong, and it was hard to believe it. That's the effect NCOs have. Mm-hmm. But I just think the important thing is that your key message was right, that don't get your idea about how things work just from video games, because video games take artistic license. Spec Ops: The Line is a good game, but the real reason that they didn't have like realistic white phosphorus in that scenario wasn't because maybe they didn't know, maybe they didn't care, but I think it was more likely that, if they'd done it with high explosive, they couldn't have shown like, the kind of dismemberment scenes back in 2012, that the kind of stuff we see in the news from Ukraine or Gaza today. It wasn't a thing back then. Mm-hmm. It would have been hard for a game to show like, disembowelments and decapitations and dismemberments in that scene. So they picked something more artistic and said, "Oh, they killed all those civilians with white phosphorus."
Yeah.
Um,
And it was
but you know,
a pretty common talking point back in the Bush years. You know, the white phosphorus, secret American war crimes. Like, yeah, fair. Like, if you're concerned about that, and it seems like they were trying to, like, you know, hit that same note, and it feels like maybe the same thing that happened to me with some of my understanding of this shit, where you just get telephone gamed from one misconception a little while ago based on a real thing, and then it just kind of gets passed down. But when you try to get to the heart of it, there's this, like, you hit a moment where you're like, I thought this bridge went somewhere, but it just falls off into nothing, and I have no idea. I have no idea what the actual truth of the matter is. It drives me fucking crazy.
well, you
sorry.
know, I mean, always, never hesitate to reach out to vets. A lot of us do still like to talk about the stuff we saw and did.
Mhm.
And obviously happy to help out, if it ever comes up in future again. But I mean, you're doing God's work, man. I mean, people need to understand on the left just as much as the right, these issues of military and war. We can't, we can't all be Pete Buttigieg or whatever, but we got to understand, that side of things. We got and you're doing good work there, just like you are with journalism. I really enjoyed your last bit on Shad there about talking about photography. That brought me back. I remember back when I had to do some of my own darkroom, and you were just dragging me right back there. So
Nice.
So keep up the great work.
Cool. Hey, thanks for calling in, man. Do you have anything else you want to throw out?
No, I'm just going to say that I only did this because I used to do some long form essays on Twitter, but I just don't think Twitter these days. I'm even if I had a really great idea or I was like the only witness to a crime or something, I don't trust the Twitter algorithm to get my message out anymore. So I'm moving over to Blue Sky, and I kind of used you there to see if I could actually do like a long form essay on there. So
Well, I read the whole thing.
Look for me on.
I painstakingly read. I can't believe you pulled out Field Artillery magazine on me because I had no idea that was a thing that existed. Like, absolutely, what a reference material. You did really good work. So everybody, what you want to shout yourself out on Blue Sky? Your thing?
Yeah, it's just Bruce R on Blue Sky. flipbrucer.bsky.social.
Okay.
And I'd love to see some people drop by. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch, man. Take it easy. Cool. Well, that was Bruce, everybody. Fucking great. Like, yeah, literal perfect fucking response. He got me. He was a little bit zestier, but I'm really glad. I'm really glad I fucking took forever to get through the first chunk so that I could get him to call in and talk about it, because it was great. Like, that's all I want. Like, literally, I'll fucking always mea culpa. And that's just so interesting. I was completely wrong about all these things, but it's like, what do I base the knowledge on? Like, half the time it's just shit that gets passed down, which a lot of it's true. Otherwise I'd be fucking dead. But the Lance Corporal Underground is like that. And understand, if you're trying to think like, oh, this is a Tyler thing, this is a you thing too. This happens to all of us. If you have facts that you've taken as gospel and you've just never double.
Hope you enjoyed your time on the West Side.